Look, we both signed for the rematch. That was one of the reasons we took the deal, is that we knew it was 2 fights and all the terms are the same. But I said to Conor, you know, when I said about, yeah, maybe you look at 147, and he just looked at me and he said, if you think that fight was a war, wait till you see the rematch. And I was like,
Eddie Hearn has officially announced that the highly anticipated rematch between Conor Benn and Eubank Jr. is happening. With both fighters having signed on the dotted line, the bout is now a done deal. Hearn didn't hold back in hyping the event, claiming the second clash could rival, if not exceed, the intensity and violence of their first encounter. He made it clear that everything on his end is locked in, leaving no room for uncertainty. As soon as the idea of a return to the 147-pound division was raised, Benn didn't hesitate to fire back. He declared that if the first clash...
Very confident about the rematch, and it will be brutal again, so I can only speak on my behalf, but you know, we've signed for it, Eubank signed for it, and we expect...
was a war, this rematch will be outright chaos. His response was instant and sharp, showing he's returning to the ring with one goal in mind: revenge. Benn acknowledged Eubank Jr.'s strong performance in their initial fight, but was quick to point out that he himself was dealing with ring rust after a long layoff. This time, things are different. With proper preparation and focus, Benn believes he'll be a far more dangerous opponent. He's not letting the setback from their first meeting define him. Instead, he's using it as fuel. The hunger for redemption is real, and Benn appears more determined than ever to...
The revenge, man. I want my revenge. I think NOTB played a big part.
Correct the past and make a definitive statement in the ring. Both camps are gearing up for an all-out war. For Benn, this is more than just a fight. It's personal. He's laser-focused on dismantling Eubank with renewed energy and a level of ferocity that could make this rematch one of the most explosive bouts in recent memory. The pressure is mounting, and the version of Conor Benn preparing to step into the ring may be the most dangerous we've seen yet. Even Oscar De La Hoya has weighed in, expressing genuine excitement for the rematch and throwing his full support behind
these rematches with these types of intense fights taking place, like Conor and Eubank. A rematch right away will probably end their career. You know, it's that intense. It's that...
Benn. With high stakes, fierce motivation, and growing anticipation, the boxing world is bracing for what promises to be an unforgettable showdown. Conor Benn is clearly driven by a powerful need to set the record straight after suffering his first professional defeat. Citing ring rust as a major factor in that performance, Benn is determined not to let that moment define his legacy. His mindset has shifted entirely. This time, he's coming back sharper, hungrier, and more focused than ever. Oscar De La Hoya has voiced full confidence in Benn's comeback, stating that the fire burning inside him is exactly what he
needs. Be a better fighter, you know. We've got a lot to go back. Well, not a lot to go back, just to be able to take his time.
Needs to rise again. According to De La Hoya, Benn now has the mindset to break through Eubank Jr.'s defenses and re-establish himself as a top-tier contender. The pressure is rising, and the intensity around the rematch is already palpable. Nigel Benn, Conor's father and boxing legend, hasn't held back his emotions. Outraged by his son's loss, Nigel rejected the outcome entirely, calling it a joke and branding Eubank Jr. as a lucky opportunist who took advantage of Conor's lack of sharpness. He's gone as far as suggesting the fight was rigged, a mere opening act before the true battle. Nigel is adamant that a fully prepared Conor Benn will dismantle.
Junior is too big a man. These weights that they are flouting is this, they're destroying the fight.
Eubank in the rematch without hesitation. His anger is real, his words direct, and his belief in his son unshakable. Meanwhile, Eubank Sr. also weighed in, and he didn't mince words. Offering a scathing assessment of Conor Benn's performance, Eubank Sr. said Benn was outclassed from the opening bell, overwhelmed and out of his depth. He criticized Benn's weight cut as reckless and harmful to the integrity of the sport, emphasizing that no tricks or hype could mask the clear gap in experience and conditioning. Praising his son's strength, discipline, and preparation, Eubank Sr. declared that Chris Jr. didn't just win, he dominated, exposing Benn's inexperience at the top level. As the rematch looms, Sky Sports' Adam Smith also joined the chorus of voices surrounding this clash.
Wants it next. Eddie was talking about maybe going down in weight. I think that if they want to get it on, they do it again, in 6 months' time, and we'll.
He praised Eubank Jr.'s resilience and world-class pedigree, noting the adversity he's overcome throughout his career. But Smith also acknowledged Benn's burning desire for redemption. He believes Benn is fighting not just to win, but to prove his first loss was a fluke, not a reflection of his capabilities. This isn't just another fight. It's personal. With pride, legacy, and revenge on the line, both fighters are preparing for war. The question now is simple. Can Chris Eubank Jr. withstand the storm that Conor Benn is bringing to the ring? Tension is rising, and the build-up to the Conor Benn vs. Chris Eubank Jr. rematch promises absolute fireworks. Benn is fueled by a deep hunger for redemption, while Eubank Jr. is laser-focused on cementing his superiority once and for all.
I think there's a rematch in the contract, so there's no doubt that they'll run that one back and do it all.
Over the coming months, anticipation will only grow, with the boxing world eagerly awaiting their next collision in the ring, a clash that could settle the score once and for all. Harlem Eubank hasn't held back in his sharp critique of Conor Benn's recent defeat. He called out Benn's pre-fight bravado, claiming the trash talk and overconfidence only made the loss more humiliating. According to Harlem, Benn's downfall was clear. A lack of discipline and mental focus that unraveled as the fight progressed. He believes the rematch is inevitable, with both fighters locked on a path to another high-stakes showdown. But for Harlem, Eubank Jr.'s victory was more than just a win. It was a statement, a message that Chris Eubank Jr. sits at the top of the sport. In his view, Benn
decide whether we do the rematch or drop down to natural weight 147 and fight for the world title.
Was never on his cousin's level, and the rematch will only confirm that reality. On the opposite side, trainer Tony Sims isn't backing down. He strongly rejects the narrative that Eubank Jr. was the rightful winner. Sims argues that Benn showed superior grit, sharper tactics, and more heart during the key moments of the fight. He believes the judges got it wrong, that Benn was robbed of a deserved victory. Sims is adamant. The rematch will be different. A better prepared, more dangerous Conor Benn will return to the ring, this time ready to leave no room for doubt. As the rematch approaches, the stakes couldn't be higher. One major question still lingers. Will Benn aim for a world title shot at 147 pounds? Or will he go straight for revenge against Eubank Jr.? Sims insists that whatever path Benn chooses, his drive for redemption is unstoppable. This rivalry is far from over. The next chapter is shaping up to be even more explosive, with both fighters aiming to make a definitive statement. Who takes the rematch? Drop your predictions in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this epic boxing rivalry.